Pyramids, temples, tombs. These ancient wonders promise even greater secrets still to be found under the sands of Egypt. Now, cutting-edge science finally decodes the mysterious land of the Pharaohs.
With modern technology, we are gaining an insight into the way the ancient Egyptians lived and the manner in which they died.
This time, ancient icons enter the modern age. Can the latest subsurface scanning technology reveal the ruins of the ancient capital of Tanis?
So they're taking these magnets, looking for structures underneath the ground.
Can the emerging field of ancient DNA finally crack King Tut's cold case?
Everybody recognizes the name Tutankhamun, and yet we still don't know how he died.
Will cutting-edge 3D modeling shed new light on the age-old riddle of the Sphinx?
This is a way to get access to the site that was previously impossible.
Ancient clues unearthed, long-lost evidence re-examined, precious artifacts brought into the light of the 21st century. These are Egypt's Unexplained Files. Ancient Egypt. They've left us the most famous icons on Earth. Faces that reveal the fortunes of a wealthy empire. Monuments that have become fabled around the world. Now, scientists are re-examining iconic sites from a 21st century perspective. Using the latest satellite technology, archaeologists investigate ancient Egypt's long-forgotten cities.
Space archaeology has revolutionized how we find sites. What they found was an entire city.
And on the ground, using magnetometry, they can now look down deep beneath the Earth.
So we now need to rely on different techniques, including modern science, to help look under the ground and find out where these cities were.
Everybody loves the story of a lost city.
2011. A satellite flies over the fabled city of Tanis.
It's a name which is well known, particularly in popular culture, because it featured in the Indiana Jones movies as the site of the Ark of the Covenant. So it's a place that people will feel as though they know.
Tanis lies just under 100 miles northeast of Cairo, in the lower Nile Delta. As one of ancient Egypt's former capital cities, it was the seat of power around 3,000 years ago. It is also thought by some to be the place where baby Moses was found floating in his basket. Like the Bible story, it is hard to separate fact from fiction.
Despite its size and importance, there's very, very little to see on the ground of the city, of the place where thousands and thousands of people would have lived.
Although excavations have been ongoing at Tanis for over a century, investigators believe much of this once mighty city still remains undiscovered. But surveying, then digging a large area out in the desert is very costly and time-consuming.
It's a slow process, so if you're looking for something relatively small, like a tomb, excavation is perfect. If you're approaching with a broader perspective and looking for an entire city, you can't do that with an excavation.
Archaeologists instead look for a way to remotely survey the site using satellite infrared imaging technology, orbiting over 400 miles above the Earth.
When you're looking at a satellite image, you can begin to see those shapes, which are the outlines of sometimes massive structures, sometimes the remains of walled towns and cities.
Peering down from its orbit, thousands of images are taken and put through multispectral analysis. Tanis appears to sprawl nearly 550 acres in size, equivalent to over 300 football fields. Never before had anyone applied this infrared imaging to the famous capital city of Tanis.
What they found was an entire city. So they were able to actually reveal the whole of the structures that comprised this ancient capital.
This discovery in itself is amazing. But history suggests that Tanis could still be hiding far more than just building foundations. 1939, with Europe on the brink of World War II. In Egypt, French archaeologist Pierre Montet stumbled on a set of incredible monuments.
It's a ruin field composed of massive, inscribed, decorated blocks of stone and the remains of colossal and other statues.
Montet, he was kind of dazzled by the statues and the obelisks and the inscriptions.
As Montet continued to explore the site, he discovered the remains of a massive temple. Then, he stumbled upon the greatest prizes an archaeologist could hope to find: a series of unlooted, sealed tombs.
He found the tombs just by accident because he was clearing away part of the temple and found them built underneath the temple.
The tombs are crammed with some of the most valuable artifacts ever found in Egypt.
These were intact tombs with silver coffins. You always think that gold is valuable. Well, in Egypt there was so much gold that actually the really expensive thing was silver, because that had to be imported.
What he finds eclipses all of the wealth in King Tut's tomb.
When he opened them up, everything was kind of in place. The vessels were all lined up and the sarcophagus was there intact.
The finds were dazzling, but with the war gripping the entire planet, Montet had to bring his excavation to a halt. 80 years later, satellite images suggest there could be far more to Tanis than Montet or anyone expected. Could there even be more untouched tombs yet to be discovered? In 2014, a team of French archaeologists and Polish geophysicists arrive in Tanis. They want to extend previous surveys, exploring what treasures may lie deep beneath their feet. To find out, they bring in the very latest geophysical survey technology, magnetometry.
Magnetometry is a technique to identify different consistencies in the soil.
There are places in the world where there are sites buried beneath the ground. You can't dig them. You don't have the manpower to dig them. So they're taking these magnets, looking for structures underneath the ground.
The scientists scan over 50 hectares of the city, one of the largest magnetometry surveys of its type ever undertaken in Egypt.
It's enabled us to see the entire ancient city.
When they analyze the results, the level of detail is astounding. Far more intricate and precise than a satellite photo could ever provide. Archaeologists can now truly visualize this once thriving city.
And sure enough, what they find not only corroborates what the satellites discovered, but it's even better. You can understand where was the residential areas. They find huge buildings, workshops. The whole city planning was revealed in front of them.
You could almost imagine yourself navigating around the streets and, starting in one house and going around the corner to see somebody else in a different house. It's that level of detail.
By using the very latest in remote surveying technology, the ancient city of Tanis is revealed in detail as never seen before. Discoveries that could only have been made in the 21st century.
We thought we knew everything there was to know about Tanis, but advanced technology is rediscovering the city all over again.
In the future, it's possible that even newer technologies may pinpoint further riches at Tanis. Could the extraordinary treasures found by Pierre Montet be only the first of unimaginable secrets still buried beneath the ground? Time will tell. State-of-the-art scans are redrawing the map of sites all over Egypt. Yet countless discoveries still remain untouched and unsolved. As archaeologists employ the newest gadgetry to examine ancient mysteries, they're reaching new conclusions about the greatest Egyptian icons in history. King Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun is one of the most famous characters we have from anywhere in the ancient world.
The boy king died in mysterious circumstances, aged just 19.
Everybody recognises the name Tutankhamun, and yet we still don't know how he died.
Since the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, people have wondered who or what may have killed him.
Now cutting-edge genetic analysis could hold clues to the truth behind his death. In 2005, scientists at the Egyptian Museum, Cairo, investigate one of ancient Egypt's greatest cold cases. They want to find out what killed King Tutankhamun.
There's a certain amount of mystery surrounding how Tutankhamun actually died. There's no obvious cause of death.
Investigators use a medical CT scanner to create a high-resolution 3D image of the young king's body.
So it gives us information about his body and what this might be telling us.
It was hoped that this might shed more light on the actual cause of death.
Examining the results, experts spot something unusual.
The CT scan reveals one very interesting feature of the mummy, and that is that there seems to be a fracture of the femur, upper part of the left leg just above the knee.
At some point in his life, King Tut had suffered from a broken leg. Could this have led to his untimely death? Clues from his tomb suggest he may have had some dangerous hobbies.
There were a considerable number of chariots found in Tutankhamun's tomb. The presence in the tomb of these chariots fueled this speculation.
The injuries which are revealed by the CT scans lead some people to believe that perhaps Tutankhamun suffered a chariot accident.
A broken leg could have turned septic and caused blood poisoning, leading to death. But closer investigation of the scan sheds doubt on this theory.
It's a clean break. There's no evidence of any infection. That clearly wasn't the cause of death.
Experts search for more clues, gathering together as much evidence as possible. As well as the digital CT scan, they have access to X-rays taken back in 1968 during a previous examination of Tut's body. The investigation revealed something odd on one of the images.
When they looked at the X-rays of the skull of Tutankhamun, they saw this dark area.
The brain had been removed in mummification, but they find evidence of a small piece of bone at the back of the skull.
This is the clinching piece of evidence. He must have been struck on the head, blunt force trauma. This is what killed him.
Egyptologists are left to ask a startling question. Was King Tut assassinated? Even during his short reign, King Tut faced a growing power struggle.
There are people around Tutankhamun who might well want him dead. He has no children, he has no obvious heir. If he can be removed, then the path is clear for somebody outside the royal family to become Pharaoh of Egypt.
And of course, suspicion immediately falls on the individual who succeeds him as Pharaoh, his relative, a man called I.
A picture of I still exists on the wall of King Tut's tomb. He is seen administering the final rites to the dead king's body. And records also show I goes on to take the throne after Tut's death, along with his military general, Horemheb.
We know that both of them did succeed in becoming Pharaoh. Perhaps they deliberately removed Tutankhamun by having him killed.
The case proving murder appears solid. But as scientists analyze the 1968 results further, they realize that blunt trauma may not be the only event that could explain the chip of bone at the back of King Tut's head.
During mummification, we know the brain is taken out down the nose.
So when the hook was put up the nose to remove the brain, this part of the nose bone got broken off, as it normally does, went to the back of the skull and ended up there just as part of the embalming, but misinterpreted as cause of death.
It's simply an artifact of the mummification process. It can't really be interpreted as a cause of death.
It appears from this evidence that the bone chip does not point to murder. The investigation into King Tut's death remains unsolved. 2010, while re-examining King Tut's CT scan, scientists noticed something they'd not seen before: a deformity in the bones of his feet.
We see also that he had a severe bone necrosis in his left foot. Usually you cannot put any weight on this foot, so you need a walking stick.
He may have been suffering from what we now think of as clubfoot.
The birth defect could also explain why over 100 walking sticks were found in his tomb. But the club foot is not the only birth defect they discover from the scans. It seems King Tut is in far worse health than experts had ever realized.
Tutankhamun has a cleft palate. He had a necrotic bone disease in his left leg. He has wide hips. So maybe he was already a weak pharaoh, and the disease could have caused his death.
These conditions can be common, and individually would not be enough to kill King Tut. But taken together, they may have severely compromised his health.
Perhaps this is the evidence that might help us understand how he died.
This discovery leads Egyptologists ever closer to proving a cause of death. But studying the pathology of the boy king needs further research and discoveries. The definitive answer still eludes us, but perhaps with the help of science, not for long. Scientists have proposed that King Tut has deep-seated health issues that may have caused his death.
We know that he's a sickly and weak individual, but it still doesn't give us an exact cause of death.
Could they now have the scientific tools to pinpoint the reason behind the boy king's feeble body, using the latest in DNA analysis? Could it reveal the final answer of how he died?
Could genetic analysis answer that question once and for all?
Egyptologists investigate whether King Tut's death could be related to several congenital health problems, and if some of them could be hereditary.
There is evidence that King Tut had large feminine hips and breasts. It may be the case that he had those attributes from his father, because Akhenaten is depicted in sculpture and on tombs and temples as having very large feminine hips as well.
Scientists begin to explore other potential inherited traits.
When you take the evidence from the CT scans, which show that Tutankhamun has a club foot, we can perhaps suggest that he was suffering from something called Collier's syndrome, which is known to be an inherited disease.
It is an important clue. The passing on of physical attributes from generation to generation leads to an explosive possibility.
The bone disease, which is present on King Tut's remains, shows that he may have had a condition that could be passed down from interfamily relationships.
Experts believe these interfamily relationships may be crucial to how a king passes on his divine right.
Incest is seen as a way to keep power within the family and to enhance the divinity of one's children.
Incest may also reflect how a pharaoh views his position in society.
Pharaohs are not regular Egyptians. Pharaohs are gods incarnate.
The king is certainly the son of a god, and so his relatives are also thought to be divine.
A pharaoh's power was guarded and tightly kept within the family through incestuous relationships. But for scientists, it is another potential clue to unlocking King Tut's cause of death. The Egyptian Museum in Cairo, 2010. With advances in modern genetics, scientists wonder if the final proof of an incestuous bloodline may be found in the ancient DNA of King Tut and his family.
For this, we have developed specific techniques to extract all DNA that is still present in these samples. It can be a piece of bone, it can be a piece of soft tissue, and then you can sequence it and see what you have inside.
While the 2010 team are confident of their process, it is extremely controversial.
What you have in ancient DNA studies are the believers and the non-believers. And the non-believers are much more rigorous. And this study was done by believers.
The scientific evidence is controversial because the samples themselves are thousands of years old. There's no knowing how many people have touched King Tut's body over the years. We cannot ensure the integrity of the samples that have been taken.
As I was involved in this analysis, I'm quite sure that we got authentic results.
If the results are as they suggest, the outcome is not only a monumental feat, it is deeply shocking.
The DNA shows the father and the mother share about 25% of their DNA, which is typical for a brother and sister relation. And a big breakthrough was possible for the first time to prove a genetic relationship within a royal family, which was not done before. The DNA test shows clearly that his father and mother are brother and sister. Tutankhamun is the result of an incest relation.
King Tut may have suffered from multiple genetic disorders passed down from his parents.
The health issues won't go away. They only increase generation upon generation.
It is possible that incest was the cause of King Tut's death.
Incest may not have only killed King Tut. In his tomb, archaeologists re-examine a grisly discovery.
In Tutankhamun's tomb, they find 2 stillborn babies. It is believed that these are his own child.
This could be the result of complications from incestuous relationships.
The incest could have been a major cause to end the bloodline of Tutankhamun.
It's still a theory, but complex genetic disorders due to inbreeding is a plausible solution to King Tut's untimely death and the ending of his bloodline. For many, it closes a cold case that has fascinated Egyptologists since the moment King Tut's tomb was opened nearly 100 years ago. Examining the details of Egypt's iconic pharaohs brings us ever closer to figuring out how the ancients lived and died. But for Egypt's most iconic monuments, researchers must find creative ways of reinterpreting their meaning by what is still left standing, seeing into the past with a modern eye. The Great Sphinx has stood tall for over 4 millennia. But what we see today may bear little resemblance to how it looked thousands of years ago.
The sands of the desert are constantly shifting, so we have no idea really what the landscape looked like at that time.
Now, experts are creating a 3D model of the entire Giza Plateau.
This has opened up a whole new dimension for us.
They hope to go back in time to see the Sphinx as it used to be.
So I'm an 18th century explorer. Maybe I'm from Italy or England or France, and I'm crossing the desert sands and I see these massive pyramids, and then I see a head sticking out of the sand. I go there and with a crew, maybe I start moving away the sand and I see this human head has a lion body. What is that?
For hundreds of years, Egyptologists have sought to answer the riddle of the Great Sphinx.
What is the Sphinx? We don't know, because the ancient Egyptians didn't tell us. There's not a single tomb scene. There's no papyrus that describes the Sphinx. The ancient Egyptians left us nothing.
Experts examined the Sphinx itself. It towers 6 stories tall and stretches the entire width of a city block.
The Sphinx wasn't actually built of stones. It was carved from bedrock. It was carved from deposits of rock that are probably 50 million years old, that were sticking out above the sand.
But researchers faced a problem. The Great Sphinx standing before them may have looked far different to what the ancient Egyptians originally carved.
The Sphinx has been buried under sand periodically for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and then has been uncovered periodically, even as far back as 3,500 years ago.
In the 1930s, archaeologists dug out the Sphinx, hoping to unearth further clues.
So that revealed the front legs and the rest of the body and the whole cavity or niche that the Sphinx was carved into.
Over the course of a century, archaeologists pieced together through painstaking research when the Great Sphinx was likely built and who commissioned it.
The Sphinx almost certainly dates to about 2,500 BC, to the reign of the great pharaoh Khafre, which is Old Kingdom, 4th dynasty. There's no question in anyone's mind that that is a Sphinx that depicted the face and the power and the grandeur of the great Khafre.
But these breakthroughs still provide few clues to how the Sphinx changed during its 4,500 years in existence.
How does the Sphinx look now compared to 100 or 200 or 300 years ago? A lot of people think that the nose of the Sphinx was shot off by Napoleon's troops a couple hundred years ago.
There's all these stories about what happened to the nose of the Sphinx. It was actually crowbarred off in the Middle Ages. You can actually see the crowbar markings if you look closely on the face of the Sphinx. Years ago, it was relieved from the sand around it. And what the archaeologists found was a body of the Sphinx that was badly weathered.
So when we look at the Sphinx today, we see different colors, we see seemingly different kinds of rocks. A lot of that is repair work that's taken place over 3,000 years.
It's created a massive challenge for Egyptologists: how to map the changing appearance of the Great Sphinx. The year 2000. Harvard Egyptologist Peter de Manuelian launches a groundbreaking research project. He proposes taking Egyptology into the 21st century by creating a 3D model of the entire Giza Plateau.
We're blending what I call traditional archaeological documentation, the photos, the maps, the drawings, with 3D modeling.
To date, Peter and his team have used over 75,000 photos, 10,000 maps, and 4,000 drawings to create a 3D model of Giza, showing different eras in its history.
If it's a photograph from 100 years ago, compare it with a photograph today and see whether there are changes. Have the hieroglyphs disappeared? Are things sanded over? Has paint deteriorated?
No scrap of evidence has been overlooked. Red pigment residue found on the face of the Sphinx, as well as traces of blue and yellow paint, have all been incorporated into the 3D model. It allows Peter and his team to do something never done before: to track what the Great Sphinx may have looked like down through the ages with the touch of a button.
I can go back to 1400 BCE and look at the Sphinx in the New Kingdom. Then I can go back 1,000 years earlier, and you see the Sphinx as it may have looked in the 4th dynasty.
It is a 21st century method of investigating ancient monuments, taking into account decades of research.
When we make a 3D model, we always have to make the decision, what are we building? Are we building this tomb in 2500 BCE? Are we building this tomb in 1920 when it was excavated? Or are we trying to show its appearance as it is today?
With the Giza Plateau at his fingertips, the Great Sphinx, ancient temples, the pyramids, all come alive.
Along the way, sometimes we can make some interesting discoveries because we have a perspective above ground, below ground, hovering over, flying in space, places that mere mortals normally can't walk around. You can rotate around the building, you can fly over it, And what I like best, perhaps, is you can go underground, dive down a burial shaft, and even move out into the bedrock and get what I call the tomb's eye view of Giza.
The 3D model is giving unprecedented access to the most famous Egyptian site on Earth, allowing researchers to see Giza as it may have looked at different times over thousands of years.
This is a way to get access to the site that was previously impossible. So if you go to Giza today, chances are a tomb might be sanded up or deteriorated or otherwise inaccessible, and now you can get there virtually.
In the future, technology will take us even further down the road of virtual archaeology. Even iconic monuments known only through ancient records can be re-examined and brought to life. Monuments thought lost forever. The lighthouse at Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
The lighthouse at Alexandria was enormous.
Not only is the Lighthouse of Alexandria one of the earliest skyscrapers of the ancient world, but is the origin of all lighthouses, which are still being used today.
For centuries, this mythic structure guides ships into harbor. And then, seemingly overnight, it's gone.
It is a great mystery. What happened to the Great Lighthouse?
Now, underwater dive technology is spurring exploration to places once out of reach. It could solve the mystery of Alexandria's greatest monument. All over the world, scientists are using the latest imaging techniques to recreate long-lost architecture. With just a few blocks that remain, they can bring an ancient monument to life. But to start this process, archaeologists must first find remnants of the ancient site after thousands of years. This can be the most difficult task of all, especially when the structure stood at the edge of a roaring sea, like Alexandria's lighthouse once did. 332 BCE, Alexander the Great had conquered Egypt. The ambitious Greek general now wanted a new capital for this additional part of his empire.
He wanted to establish a trading post that was separated in some distance from the Persian Empire, whom he was trying to fight against.
The city that bears his name became a bustling metropolis. But to make his city grow, Alexander the Great faced a massive problem.
The currents in the Eastern Mediterranean are known to be pretty complex. We're talking about a need for ships to be guided in at night through these currents, through these treacherous waters.
The solution? A beacon burning atop a tower the size and scale of which the ancient world had never seen before.
The Lighthouse of Alexandria was 30 stories, and it was second only in height to the Great Pyramids on the Giza Plateau.
Because it no longer exists, no one can say precisely what it may have looked like. So, experts re-examine ancient images of the lighthouse in the search for clues.
There are depictions of the Lighthouse of Alexandria, mostly on coins, so it's hard to reconstruct a 30-story building from a tiny little depiction on the side of a coin.
We also have a funerary monument in Egypt proper from about that time that is said to be not only contemporary, but also a replica of the lighthouse at a smaller scale.
This replica is the closest comparison experts have to the original design, but it is still a fraction of the size of the original. It seems impossible that a building over 350 feet high could just disappear.
It is a great mystery. What happened to the Great Lighthouse? How was it destroyed?
Experts wonder if an answer may be found in the geological map of Egypt. They find a clue in a 20th century tragedy. October 1992. An earthquake measuring 5.9 on the Richter scale rocks Egypt. Geologists believe the country sits close to 3 tectonic plate boundaries, leaving little doubt as to what destroyed Alexandria's lighthouse.
Each time that a new earthquake hit the Mediterranean region, the lighthouse was further damaged.
Over time, between earthquakes and disuse and abandonment, it collapsed and fell into the sea.
The lighthouse disappeared beneath the waves. Archaeologists must now venture underwater in search of the remains, but it is a race against time. 1994, boom time in Alexandria. All over the city, rescue archaeologists recover artifacts before they're destroyed by development. Out in the harbor, divers investigate the seabed before a new breakwater crushes everything.
They are working under extreme pressure, but making sure that the work they do is competent, meticulous, scientific, and well documented.
As they investigate, they start to uncover strange objects, stone blocks that could be from the lost lighthouse.
There was evidence of enormous blocks, some weighing maybe as much as 75 tons, if you can imagine. But this is the kind of scale we're talking about when talking about the Alexandria Lighthouse.
And it's not just blocks of stone. The divers make some astonishing finds.
They have to recover a series of huge, gigantic statues, monumental in size.
So they've discovered the pillars that once were part of the massive construction of the lighthouse, and they've also found statues of Ptolemy II, which puts us right around the time that the lighthouse is said to have been built.
They have proved for the first time that these are the remnants of the great lighthouse. And many believe they see a pattern in how the lighthouse may have collapsed. A true picture that could allow them to digitally recreate the epic structure.
The challenge right now is to try to reconstruct, at least on paper, how the blocks fit together, to maybe give us an idea, a better idea, of what the physical appearance of the lighthouse has been.
They are bringing up some of those fragmentary elements of the lighthouse bit by bit. Whether they'll be able to reconstruct anything out of those fragments is debated.
Experts are creating a more detailed map of the remnants of the lighthouse, with every stone found on the seabed. It may one day produce the most intricate picture yet.
Undoubtedly, underwater archaeology is still in its infancy. We're still developing the technology to actually do it properly. Without question, there will be more discoveries of the lighthouse in the seafloor off of Alexandria.
It means someday soon, archaeologists may be able to digitally piece together the great lighthouse of Alexandria, stone by stone. Countless mysteries are only now within our grasp, thanks to modern archaeological techniques and advanced computer technology. But physical discoveries are still the ultimate quest for modern researchers. A new dig can solve ancient mysteries. It can even prove iconic myths, hold hidden truths. The Scorpion King, one of ancient Egypt's earliest rulers.
The Scorpion King is a legendary figure. But who was he? Did he really exist?
Now, some believe there is evidence that this mythic king played a role in one of ancient history's most important events, the unification of Egypt. 3200 BCE, Egypt was a divided nation. Violence reigned supreme.
It was just a place of might makes right. It was warring chiefs battling it out, trying to gain dominance over one another.
Different areas all had different leaders who called themselves kings, so there would have been a lot of conflict between all of them.
5 millennia later, this era has become a time of legend, where fact and fiction are nearly indecipherable. Few artifacts survive intact, making one discovery made back in 1897 invaluable.
Archaeologists excavating in southern Egypt find this enormous mace head.
A mace head is a scepter used by a king to rule over his people. Could this priceless artifact sit at the heart of an age-old legend?
It depicts a king in what we would recognize as the Egyptian artistic form. Next to his head is the sign for Scorpion, the Scorpion King.
Since the discovery of the mace head, the myth of the Scorpion King has grown. Today, he fronts a Hollywood franchise depicting an ancient fighting machine. But his real existence still remains a mystery. 1988, German archaeologists lead an investigation at Abydos in southern Egypt, one of the oldest royal cemeteries in the world.
Abydos is the original Valley of the Kings. It's the place Egypt's earliest kings are buried.
Archaeologists find what seems to be a burial mound, and they decide to excavate it. Underneath, they find an incredibly complex and sizable series of rooms.
It's got scorpion glyphs all over the walls. And when you see this amount of prestige, whoever's buried in that tomb was pretty important.
Archaeologists radiocarbon date material found in the tomb. The results show it is 3150 BCE, the earliest period in Egyptian history. It could be the burial place of one of Egypt's most legendary kings.
To the best of our knowledge, the tomb at Abydos is the last resting place of King Scorpion.
Once thought of as a myth, the Scorpion King appears to be a real man. But how powerful was this warrior king? 2009, scientists re-examine artifacts from the Scorpion King's tomb.
In Abydos, archaeologists find seals depicting the Scorpion King, but they also find remnants of thousands of bottles of wine.
Using mass spectrometry, they determine an isotopic signature from the wine residue. Incredibly, it's from Palestine, over 400 miles away.
In order to import something from Palestine, you had to have a strong trade route. You had to be able to protect that trade route. The fact that they found hundreds of jars of wine in King Scorpion's tomb indicates that he had enough power to control the entire area between him and Palestine.
It suggests a powerful king. But there are still huge gaps when studying people from 5,000 years ago. Experts re-examine the first documented ruler in Egypt's history, King Narmer, credited with unifying Egypt in an era known as Dynasty I.
Narmer is the first real pharaoh that he's named. We know who he is, we know when he ruled.
King Narmer's image is on an artifact called the Narmer Palette, which tells the detailed story of the unification of southern and northern Egypt. In a flash of inspiration, investigators compare the image of King Narmer with the carving of the Scorpion King on the ancient mace head.
Some archaeologists suggest that King Scorpion and King Narmer are one and the same person.
If you look at them side by side, you can compare King Scorpion, wearing the white crown, to King Narmer, wearing the white crown. They're in almost identical poses.
The evidence is highly speculative. But if true, the legendary Scorpion King may be instrumental in unifying Egypt and creating the world's first nation-state.
In some ways, this adds to the enduring mystery of the Scorpion King, who he was, where he came from. The fact he really existed is now pretty much proven, but without his physical remains, it remains something of an elusive story.